Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the channel. I'm Afefe with Touch by Tarot and Beyond. If you're new to the channel, I'm glad you landed here. Hope you stick around, like what you see. I'm a tarot reader, oracle reader. I'm also an initiated priestess. It's early on a Sunday. I'm all casual today. Normally I spiff up a little bit more, but I'm just in a mood to kind of snuggle and cuddle today. So wanted to check in with you all, show up as I am. For my subscribers, thank you so much. You know I appreciate you. And for my members, like triple time, I cannot thank you enough for the support that you give me. It encourages me and inspires me, motivates me to continue to offer the content and do the best that I can for you. Want to talk for a little bit, Spirit let me, on Jan 6, right? How can we not? So Mike Johnson, we saw, made it by a hair. Not gonna last, you all. I'm sticking with when, in the last couple of months when we've looked at Mike Johnson in my readings and many others on this platform. Mike Johnson's days are numbered one way or another. He has absolutely no genuine support from his contingent, even the GOP. We saw what happened. He had to actually yank a few of them in a back room, put them on the phone with Donald Trump just to get himself over the line. That happened because of tomorrow, in my opinion, what the guys have given me. That happened because of tomorrow. One way or another, hook or crook, they wanted to make sure they had things in place to be able to certify the election tomorrow. I'm taping this early morning, Sunday, January 5th. So that, it was a matter of, this wasn't about saving Mike Johnson. It was because Trump said, listen, we got to make this happen, blah, blah, blah. And they went along with it. As we approach, I've been feeling for a while now, as we approach the next big hurdle around government spending or government funding, which I believe is going to be around March, we're going to, his days are numbered. Also, part of what the guides are saying, we have to keep in mind, part of what this is about too, in terms of saving Mike Johnson for the time being, is because who wants the job, right? Right? Who wants the job? Who wants to step up into those shoes as Speaker of the House at this point, knowing that every move they make, every decision, everything is going to be strong-armed by, Trump / Elon Musk / et al., right? So that's a lot. Here's what I want to look at today. I'm getting a strong feeling, couple of things though I want to back up for a second and mention. I'm going to put a link to an article. There is an article in today's USA Today about Jan 6. Those who were prosecuted, those who suffered. Good piece in there. They included Harry Dunn. Many of you saw him, black guy, Capitol Police officer at that time. He has since moved on into politics. He made an unsuccessful bid. I can't remember what office he was running for, but he didn't make it. But he's still politically active. He wrote a book, etc., about the trauma that he experienced as an officer in the Capitol on that day, on Jan 6. We have, remember the QAnon shaman? He's featured in that article as well. He's the one that wore that great big furry coat with his face all painted and a spear with the horns. That's why they called him the QAnon shaman. Name is Jacob Chansley. He did serve time. He served 41 months between 2021 and 2023 for the role that he played. He has since come out and expressed semi-regret for his role, saying that he recognizes now that they were all manipulated and set up by the deep state, whoever the deep state is, or what he really meant by that. So I wasn't quite feeling any genuine remorse there from him. But there was also, think about this, 71-year-old woman out of Idaho by the name of Pamela Hemphill. She also was a part of the Capitol Capitol riots on Jan 6. And she served time. She served, what was it? Only 2 months in jail, 3 years of probation. But at that stage of life, she actually made a complete turnaround and said, that's it. I recognize how wrong I was. Trump, this whole thing was a shell game. And she admits to having voted for Kamala Harris in the 2024 election. So there are those Jan 6ers we know who woke up. The MAGA publicans, as we call them, I call them, many of you do as well, who are in for, that hashtag FAFO. If you don't, I don't want to say it out loud here. Well, I could F around and find out, right? There's going to be a lot of that. We know that. There will be a lot of extremely disillusioned MAGA publicans, especially as things roll out. If something drastic doesn't happen, I know many of us are still believing, based on the proof that they have, that there was extreme election interference. Extreme. And there were reports that have been issued. And there are apparently, some are saying, NATO and others, there's some investigations, there's some steps being taken behind the scenes. Barring that, in the meantime, there are, as we hear more and more, if in fact this guy gets sworn in, I get a shiver just saying that. But if that's the case, one of the things that he's done, going back to Jan 6, is he's promised on day one to issue pardons for the Jan 6 rioters. Here's where I think this also ties back into Mike Johnson. And I want to go to the cards then. Enough of this talk. GOP, a lot of the GOP, they're not happy. They know that they're being coerced. They know that they are being strong-armed. They know that they've been outright threatened with being primaried if they don't go along to get along. But the Freedom Caucus, certain members of the Freedom Caucus, we already got Massey out of Kentucky talking about, what do you say? You could pull my fingernails out and stick bamboo. Like he went there. But he meant it, and he stuck by his word. He didn't give Johnson his vote. I wonder if, not so much if the Jan 6 pardons happen, not so much a rebellion. Why would the MAGA Republicans rebel at that, right? But does this spell some serious shifts in the GOP and lawmakers on Capitol Hill? Because remember, according to what I saw, there were over 140 law enforcement officers, 4 people killed. What does that signal to law enforcement? And which is a large contingent of the MAGA Republicans, not all, but we know that this whole law and order thing has been a big sell for Trump and his followers. The fact that he would issue these pardons, I'm going to ask Spirit, will there be some backlash? Will that be enough for the GOP contingent that is willing to buck Johnson/Trump? Will that be enough to send them over the edge to start to really give some pushback and grow a backbone so that Mike Johnson will be pushed out and perhaps some of Trump's intended plans are not going to go according to plan? Let's see what Spirit has to say. First card out of the deck, the Sun, you all. Sun is the most successful card, if you're asking for a yes to something, this, you can't get a stronger yes than this in tarot, right? Those of you who read or know it would know that. So first card out the deck is the Sun. The preservation of life, the threats to life, the lingering trauma that many of these re-elected and still in Congress who went through that situation, who went through Jan 6, the riots. We have the 5 of Wands, the conflict. This is going to set up a serious conflict, you all. And it's going to be one that, again, Mike Johnson only made it barely over that razor wire's edge because they didn't want the failure of being able to take that vote, issue the electoral votes tomorrow. That's what that was about. Was not about Mike Johnson at all, or preserving his space in office. Knight of Cups. There's Knights are movement. Cups are movement in feelings towards the resentment for this. Because it is an absolute slap in the face. I care nothing for you. I care nothing for your trauma. I care nothing for law enforcement. And another Knight of Pentacles. It's going to be a slow turn, you all. I don't know that we're going to see some sort of Freedom Caucus or 15 GOP members come out and say, that's it. We've drawn our line in the sand and we're not going to cooperate anymore. It may not be that in your face, but Knights are movement. Pentacles go slow. Cups flows. There is a tide that's going to turn. And I believe it actually already started to turn, because we saw how those votes were coming out. And for a hot minute there, it was looking really good for Hakeem Jeffries, right? Kisses and hugs and a right-on sign to the Dems, who stood strong, absolutely got together. Nancy managed to get her little self back. Ooh, as mad as we are at her, but she managed to get back, and she's going to be more and more in the shadows, and her influence is going to continue to wane. Page of Wands, a beginning of action to take down Mike Johnson. To take him down. The thing is, when they do that, Spirit and the Star, because this cannot continue to happen. Their hopes for being able to, yes, have their own, I'm talking about the GOP now, having their own agendas and dealing with government spending, their issues, right? But there's also, it's not that they're having, Spirit is saying, it's not that they're having a genuine change of heart in terms of their policies, in terms of being more cooperative and understanding and wanting to really govern on behalf of all people. That's too much. That's like a bridge too far, Spirit is saying right now. But remember, these are also mostly men, older. I understand now the average age in Congress is way over 57. So older. They've got egos. They've got massive egos. And so the idea that they're constantly being pushed, and strong-armed and twisted, that's only going to last for so long. So we have the Star. Ultimately, Spirit, will Mike Johnson be out by March? I'm going to ask for a time. Will he be out by March? We have the King of Swords. That's Trump. Trump's going to continue to push for him, of course, because that's his puppet. You couldn't ask for a more punked out puppet than Mike Johnson. So yeah, Trump's going to come out. And the only, thank you, Spirit just said, and the only reason, remember, it took Trump a really long time to speak up for Mike Johnson and push. For a while, he had gone radio silent for about a week or so before the vote was being cast. And people were like, whoa, what's happening with that? Because there were talks behind the scenes of a replacement, of an adequate replacement. And when they couldn't find one is when Trump finally came forward and said, okay, I got to protect my guy, because I got to keep whoever's in there. It's got to be that person who's going to do what I want them to do. Page of Cups reminds me of that other page that we just got a moment ago, the Page of Wands. So pages are new energy, beginnings of things. This is the beginning of a tide turning. Wheel of Fortune, karma. Tides turning, cycles turning. The struggle is going to be to find someone who could garner enough support, Spirit is saying, who could garner enough support to be elected, to get the votes. Where they're going to try and switch it up is they would have to get, because of how tight the numbers are, Spirit is saying they have to get, for there to be an adequate replacement to Mike Johnson, who is not an entire puppet to Trump, they have to get somebody who can get Democratic support. They got to get Hakeem Jeffries involved. Is that what will happen, Spirit? We have the Six of Cups. Yeah. Trying to get back some support that they had in the past. And the Eight of Cups. Exactly. Thank you, Spirit. Eight of Cups, because the Dems have moved on. Eight of Cups is an energy of, that's it. I've had enough. I tried this. I'm not dealing with you anymore. I'm walking away. And the Dems showed that they will do that. They closed ranks and they held. The Six of Cups is a card of going nostalgia, not going backward, but looking at what succeeded in the past. In the past, and even the only reason that Johnson made it this far was because of bipartisan support, because Hakeem Jeffries came out and made some negotiations that were adequate enough to get the votes. That's what they're looking at. They are going to be faced with, if we're going to begin to take a stand and not continue to let ourselves continually be punked by Trump and Musk at all, we know that we're going to need Democratic help. We can't do it by ourselves. We don't have the numbers to do it by ourselves. And so to get someone who could actually replace Mike Johnson, they're going to need someone who is able to get some buy-in from the Dems. That's where all of this is headed, you all. Will, the last thing to close this out, I'm going to ask, Will, if he does make it into office, if he is inaugurated, barring all of these pending investigations around the election, will Trump actually follow through on his promise to pardon the Jan Sixers? Will he? Because that's going to be another thing, you all. Law enforcement, it's particularly in D.C. I'm talking about. That is going to send such a signal. It's going to be such a slap in the face, especially those who may still be on the force or those who understand the risks that they are taking. Will Donald Trump follow through? If he is inaugurated and if he is in office, will he follow through on his promise to pardon the Jan 6 rioters? Will he follow through on that? Ace of Swords. He's going to do it, you all. Aces are strong yeses when I'm asking a question like that, and that's straight out the deck. Ace of Swords. That's his intention. He's actually going to do that. And you know why they're telling me, the gods are telling me? Because Queen of Wands. I feel like that's Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's going to be hooping and hollering and screaming about how great that is. Whatever. This is interesting because him doing that and the Four of Cups, that's the taste that it's going to leave in a lot of people's mouths. Disappointment, dissatisfaction. Where do we go from here? What does this really say about his support for us and the idea that we can safely do our jobs, that there is some sense of moral responsibility on any level left, completely soulless on his part. That's what's going to happen. It will, on the face of it, it's going to feel disgusting. It's going to feel absolutely abhorrent. The backlash from it, again, you're going to, for everything that what Spirit is saying, you all, to close this out, for everything that so many of us are feeling nationwide and even globally about how there needs to be this resistance and a regrouping so that we can save democracy in this country, it's going to start from within. His words, the enemy within, are going to come back to haunt him because there is going to be a rumbling right there within Congress and within D.C. itself, within the capital city itself, that is going to start to shift the tide because they're the ones that are going to be feeling the pinch most immediately and viscerally. Yes, there are so many risks and shifts that so many of us are watching. Watching Social Security, healthcare, deportations. We know the list goes on and on, but there's this nucleus right there in on Capitol Hill that's going to start to shift, and it's going to be because ultimately, sadly, not because they want to do the right thing on behalf of the people, but because they are tired of being choked, essentially choked. All right. Let's see what happens, you all. Thanks so much again for joining me, for your support, for helping me grow the channel. I really, really appreciate you being here. I welcome your comments. I just ask that we keep everything respectful with me, with one another, as you exchange comments. Just tolerance with all, we know this is some wild, wild times we're going through. But apparently our souls decided to come here during this time, so we must be up for the task, right? All right, take care of yourselves, and I'll talk to you real soon. Remember to breathe, keep those chins up, shoulders back. We got this, you all. I'll talk to you later. Bye.